Hi, I'm Paul McGee. I'm author of the book Self-Confidence, the remarkable truth of why a small change can make a big difference. So, who crushed your confidence? Why is it that people in their adult life still lack so much self-belief and often put themselves down? I think sometimes it's related to things that maybe happened years ago in their life, and stuff that's happened in their life years ago has helped shape beliefs they have about themselves. Only thing is, beliefs aren't always true. Let me tell you about David Page. David was featured in the newspapers a couple of years ago. He'd been doing some digging in his work yard, and at one stage he found something, wasn't sure what it was, stooped down to pick it up, and as he stooped down to pick it up, realised in his own mind, he thought, this is a World War II landmine. The only problem was, as he'd picked it up, he'd pressed his thumb down on a button. He quickly realised if he lets go, if he lifts his thumb, this thing could explode. The guy is obviously in absolute terror and anxiety. He's got a wife, he's got 5 children. So what he does is, very difficult to do it with one hand, but he wraps some stuff around his thumb in order to make sure the thumb doesn't get off the latch. Then what he does is he rings 999. And he said this to the woman who took his call: "Tell my wife and kids that I love them." Well, eventually, ambulance arrive, the police arrive, and they decide the best strategy to help David, certainly to save his life, is to get a big bucket of sand and to put his arm in the sand, so that if it does explode, he might lose his arm, but hopefully he'll keep his life. His wife's there by now, and he's in absolutely, totally distraught. He's like, what a fool for picking up this thing. When the bomb disposal guy saw what David Page was holding, he realised this: it's not an unexploded World War II landmine. It's the hydraulic system of an old Citroen car. Well, total relief. But here's the interesting point about that story. David Page believed it was a World War II landmine. And the thing is, we believe things about ourselves that are complete lies. They're untruths. But interestingly enough, it might be a lie, but it might as well be the truth if we believe in it. In fact, if you were to take the word belief, just visualize that word now written. You've got B-E, but what are the next 3 letters? L-I-E. The word lie. And I wonder, when we've had our confidence crushed, what lies have we bought into? What lies have we been sold? Maybe by a parent, maybe by a teacher, maybe by someone who was a so-called friend. And the reason why we sometimes lack self-belief and courage and confidence now is because, just like David Page, we bought into a lie. Okay, you see, beliefs are incredibly powerful, and they don't have to be true in order to have a profound impact on us. What lie are you believing about yourself? What lie has crushed your confidence? In 1980, I was doing what we then called O-levels. They now call them GCSEs. Now, I came from an O-level free family, right? We didn't believe in them. But I sat my O-levels and I got 4. It actually would have been 5. But gutted to tell you, my pot blew up in the kiln, so I missed out on pottery O-level. But I've had therapy and I feel I've moved on from that. Some of you who are listening to this now might think, you've only got 4 O-levels. Can I reassure you? 4 O-levels in 1980 is the equivalent of 28 today, plus a PhD. Anyway, I scrape into the 6th form to do my A-levels. But there are 2 words never mentioned about my future: further education. Why not? Well, Paul, you've done well to get some O-levels. Hey, you're now doing A-levels. But guess what, Paul? You've reached your ceiling. You've reached your limits. I was the only kid in my class who wasn't applying for university, or what we also had then, polytechnic. And then one day, this happened. I was walking down the school corridor. I saw the head of sixth form walking towards me, and I just had a thought. Sir, can I just have a very brief word with you, please? Yeah? Obviously, I'm not good enough to go to university. Yeah? But do you think I should apply for Polytechnic? Haven't you got a job lined up in the bank? Oh, yeah, I start in July. I just thought, maybe plan B. And my teacher looked at me and he just said this, McGee, if I was you, I think I'd stick with the bank. Here's what's interesting. That story is from nearly 30 years ago. And yet I remember it like it was yesterday. It's probably a conversation that lasted, 20 seconds? It might have lasted just 20 seconds, but if I'm being honest, it actually influenced the next 12 months of my life. I hated working in the bank, and it kind of made me feel that big. And as I walked away from that conversation with that teacher, I was starting to say to myself, why did you think you could do that? I'm sure the teacher didn't mean to crush my confidence. I didn't think he woke up that morning going, how can I screw it up for one of my pupils today? But isn't it interesting? Words can be incredibly powerful. That's an example of them in a negative way. But let me leave you with some thought about how words can have a positive impact and how we can maybe turn around feeling crushed and just feel a lot better about ourselves. Denzel Washington, the American actor, interviewed by Reader's Digest some months ago, said the following. I remember my youth group leader, Charlie White. He said, I remember him saying this to me. Denzel, with your intelligence, you can do anything you want. Now get this, folks. Denzel Washington goes on to say the following. I was 10 years old at the time, but I never forgot what he said. You never know the power of words when you speak to young people. You see, words are incredibly powerful. They've got the power to bring life or death to us. And maybe you're watching this now and you can recall several people from your life and you go, do you know what? They crushed my confidence. Yeah, well, okay, but can I just clarify something here? We're playing the explain game here, not the blame game. You see, you may have had your confidence crushed, but there's lots you can do to recover from that. I think understanding why you feel the way you do, understanding why you've bought into certain lies about yourself, it's helpful, but we don't need to keep wallowing in it. We don't need to start blaming everybody for it. We're playing the explain game. So if you feel you've had your confidence crushed, just remember that it doesn't have to remain that way, that there's loads of strategies, that there's loads of ideas that can help you rebuild your confidence.